It was labeled as a simple tyre test. But that story does not fully add up. Pirelli said they needed wet weather data. Ferrari handed over the track and the driver. On the surface, routine. But when you see what actually happened inside that garage over 48 hours, it changes everything. And if you look closer at who was behind the wheel, Lewis Hamilton pushed through 297 laps in just 2 days, covering 884 kilometers, which is basically 3 full race distances back-to-back. And this was not under normal conditions either. This was on an artificially flooded Fiorano circuit, a private Ferrari playground where very few eyes get access. While the rest of Formula One stayed quiet and distant, something very deliberate was happening inside that garage. Fred Vasseur was not dialing in or checking updates from afar. He was right there, standing in the garage, watching everything unfold in real time. And Charles Leclerc? Not even in the car. He was locked into simulator sessions and technical meetings, focused on something completely different, which makes this whole setup feel even more calculated. One driver, one car, 3 race distances across 2 intense days. So the real question is not what Pirelli wanted out of this test. It is what Ferrari was quietly working on behind the scenes. Day 1 kicks off at Fiorano, with Hamilton putting down 142 laps, covering 423 kilometers, with a fastest lap of 1 minute 0.031 seconds. The morning was all about full wet tires, testing multiple compounds and dialing in different setups, while the afternoon switched things up to intermediates, exploring crossover points and how the car reacts as conditions change. Every move was tracked. Pirelli logged everything, Ferrari logged everything, nothing missed. Then day 2 rolls in and Hamilton is back again, same driver, same focus, because Pirelli specifically demanded consistency across both sessions, and that decision says a lot more than it seems. Consistency was the official reason. Same driver, same inputs, same baseline, no surprises. Pirelli made it clear they wanted everything controlled so the tyre data stays clean, no confusion from switching drivers mid-test. But when you look at how this played out, it starts to feel like there was more going on behind the scenes. Hamilton came back on day 2 and pushed even harder, completing 155 laps and 461 kilometers. His pace even improved, dropping his fastest lap to 1 minute 0.740 seconds. That shift tells you everything. Remember, this was not natural rain. The track was fully controlled using Fiorano's built-in irrigation system, holding steady at 22 degrees with perfectly consistent wet conditions. This was not random testing. This was precise, repeatable, almost surgical. Now stack the numbers and it gets wild. 297 laps, 884 kilometers. That is like driving from Paris to Berlin in one go. That is 3 full race distances packed into just 2 days. To put it into perspective, that is more laps than any driver managed across the entire 2025 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix weekend. And normally, a Pirelli tyre test sits around 100 to 150 laps per day, but Hamilton averaged 148 per day, like it was nothing. Nobody runs that kind of mileage just for tyres unless something deeper is being unlocked. Because under Pirelli's strict rules, teams cannot test new aero parts, cannot evaluate upgrades, and cannot chase outright performance gains. But there is one area still wide open: the power unit. Teams can run different engine maps, switch up deployment strategies, tweak energy recovery, and monitor how everything holds up over long distances, and that right there is the real clue. Those restrictions do not limit everything. They actually point straight at what Ferrari were really dialing in at Fiorano. Every single lap Lewis Hamilton drove was not just another lap. It was pure, real-world engine data being collected in real time. And here is where things get serious. The SF26's energy management software does not behave the same in wet conditions compared to dry. On a soaked, low-grip surface, everything changes. The harvesting system, the timing, the way energy is recovered, all of it reacts differently when the car starts sliding. Think about it. The algorithm that controls energy recovery has to adjust instantly when brake inputs change, when grip drops, when the driver is fighting the car instead of chasing lap times. That kind of unpredictable environment cannot be perfectly recreated in a simulator. So 884 kilometers of this kind of data. That is gold for Ferrari, way more valuable than any virtual test session. And here is the part that raises eyebrows. Ferrari are preparing a completely reworked energy management software package for Miami. New algorithms, new harvesting logic, new deployment strategies, a full upgrade on the system that controls how power is used and recovered. But before something like that hits the track in a race, it needs real validation under real stress. Now look back at day 2. 155 laps, and Hamilton improves to a fastest time of 1 minute 0.740 seconds. That jump from his 1 minute 1.031 on day 1 did not come from a drying track, because the irrigation system kept conditions steady and wet the entire time. So that extra performance had to come from somewhere else, something deeper in the system. And Fred Vasseur being right there in the garage, watching it unfold up close, not sitting back in the motorhome or dialing in remotely, says everything. Team principals do not show up like that for routine tire work. This was never just about tires. And the detail almost everyone missed about Fiorano is not just what Hamilton was doing, it is what Ferrari were quietly unlocking behind the scenes. The real story is not just about what Lewis Hamilton was doing, it is about what Charles Leclerc was not doing. Ferrari's #1 driver, the guy who qualified P3 at Suzuka, finished P3 and is sitting third in the championship, was nowhere near the car during this test. Instead, he spent both days locked into the simulator and deep in technical meetings, not driving, not turning laps, just working behind the scenes. And that split, it exposes Ferrari's real strategy more clearly than any official statement ever could. Hamilton's role was clear and intense. Go out there and grind through lap after lap, stacking up nearly 900 kilometers of raw engine data, capturing every detail of energy deployment, harvesting behavior, and system response in those controlled wet conditions. Meanwhile, Leclerc had a completely different mission. He was taking all that incoming data, combining it with Ferrari's aerodynamic simulations, and stress testing it inside the simulator to see if everything lines up. And here is where it gets technical in a serious way. Ferrari identified a major question after the first 3 races. Does the simulator truly match what the car is doing on track, especially when it comes to energy management? Vasseur already confirmed after Bahrain that wind tunnel and CFD correlation looked strong, but real race data always hits different once it starts piling up. So now, all that fresh data from Hamilton's long runs gets fed straight into the simulator. It gets compared, analyzed, and used to fine-tune the models that will control this new software package heading to Miami. That is why Leclerc being stuck in meetings while Hamilton racks up 3 race distances is not random at all. It is a coordinated split, one driver generating the truth on track, the other making sure the virtual world matches it perfectly. Those 884 kilometers at Fiorano are not just numbers sitting on a sheet. They lead straight into what happens next at Monza on April 22nd. Officially, it is just a 200-kilometer filming day, something meant for promo and media. But in reality, this is where Ferrari puts everything to the test under conditions that actually start to look like race pace. And Monza was not picked by accident. This track is brutal when it comes to energy management. Long, flat-out straights, very few heavy braking zones, and constant high-speed pressure that pushes the harvesting and deployment systems to their limits. It mirrors the exact kind of stress they will face in Miami, especially down that back straight and into turn 1. If this new energy management software survives Monza, it can survive anywhere. If it fails, Ferrari has less than 10 days to fix everything before the cars hit the track in Florida. This time, both Hamilton and Leclerc will get behind the wheel. Same car, same track, same day, with the new system fully loaded. That means direct comparison data, showing exactly how each driver's style interacts with these updated algorithms. No hiding, no guessing. And that is not all. The Macarena rear wing is coming back into play too. This rotating wing system promises a serious boost, around 5 to 10 kilometers per hour extra on the straights when it works properly. But last time in Shanghai, it failed badly. The timing mismatch with the front wing caused instability, and Hamilton ended up spinning at turn 6. Now Ferrari brings a revised version, lighter, sharper, and with that synchronization issue fixed. But Monza will be the real test, especially under those intense braking zones. If it holds together here, Ferrari will take the risk and run it in Miami. If not, back to the drawing board under serious time pressure. Monza on April 22nd is being called a filming day, but that label does not hold up. This is not promo running, this is Ferrari's final exam, and Fiorano was the study session leading up to it. Every lap, every setup, every data point was building toward this one moment where everything gets judged under pressure. And Pirelli asking for Hamilton across both days? That was not just about keeping the data clean and consistent. It also points to something deeper, something only Hamilton brings to the table right now. No other driver in Ferrari's lineup has his level of experience with different power unit systems. 12 years at Mercedes, 2 at Ferrari, that is a massive range of knowledge about how a perfectly tuned energy system should actually feel inside the cockpit. That is the key word, feel. Because data alone does not tell the full story. When Hamilton pushed through 142 laps on day 1 and something felt off, he could explain more than just numbers. He could point out exactly where the power delivery dropped suddenly, where energy recovery kicked in too aggressively, where the system was working against him instead of flowing with his inputs. That kind of feedback is priceless. It is not just telemetry on a screen, it is real human input layered on top of raw data. And that is exactly why 884 kilometers with Hamilton means way more than splitting that distance between drivers. Every lap added clarity, every run sharpened the picture. And then comes the lap time jump. From 1 minute 1.031 to 1 minute 0.740 on a track that stayed consistently wet the entire time. That is not tire evolution, that is not random variation. That is something in the system improving, something clicking into place in a way that Ferrari cannot ignore. This was not just testing. This was real-time system optimization happening right in front of them. The engineers were clearly adjusting something between sessions, and Hamilton was out there proving it lap by lap. By the end of day 2, Ferrari had 297 laps of hard evidence, showing exactly how this revised energy management system behaves when a 7-time world champion is pushing it to the edge in controlled conditions. And that evidence is not sitting still. It feeds straight into Monza, and Monza feeds straight into Miami. This is a chain reaction, and Ferrari are moving fast. While all of this was unfolding at Fiorano, Mercedes and McLaren were busy setting up their own Pirelli test at the Nürburgring on April 14th and 15th. But that program is focused on dry tires, completely different conditions, completely different priorities. And here is the twist. They were not watching Ferrari. What happened at Fiorano on April 9th and 10th stayed quiet. And that is exactly how Ferrari wanted it. This April break has opened a rare window in Formula One, and every team is using it in their own way. Some are locked in on hardware, building and testing upgrades for Miami. Others are buried in simulator work, trying to line up aero models with real race data. But Ferrari? They are doing everything at once, and that is where it gets intense. Earlier in the break, the Mugello TPC test gave their development drivers 2 full days of chassis data on the SF25 under the relaxed 2026 TPC rules. Then Fiorano comes in with Hamilton delivering 2 days of raw engine data under wet conditions that hit the energy system in ways Melbourne, Shanghai, and Suzuka never could. Different tracks, different conditions, but all feeding into one aggressive plan that is building fast behind the Monza filming day on April 22nd is the final checkpoint before everything goes live. Both drivers, one car, the full Miami package loaded in, new algorithms, revised wing, updated floor. Everything gets one last real-world validation before the championship fires back up. 3 separate on-track programs packed into a single 5-week break, and no other team on the grid has gone this deep, this aggressive, this calculated. And the pressure is real. Ferrari are sitting 45 points behind Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. There is also a reported 25 horsepower gap on the engine side, plus the unknown factor: software efficiency. They cannot rebuild the entire car in April, that is just not realistic. But what they can do is close that software gap, and those 884 kilometers at Fiorano are the starting point of that push. On paper, it was just a tire test. Pirelli got what they needed: clean, consistent data. But Ferrari? They walked away with something way more valuable. 297 laps of real-world proof showing exactly how the SF26's energy management system behaves when it is pushed to the limit under controlled conditions. If you think Ferrari are hiding something bigger ahead of Miami, drop it in the comments. I want to know what you think. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button because the Monza update is coming fast.